What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you a deck idea that I got from Aurabomb himself, and that is one centered around Ho-Oh and Garbodor. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys like this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton and lets us do more cool stuff for you guys. And if you have not done so already, please feel free to check out the TTM Discord that will be linked in the description, where we do have channels for all different facets of Pokemon, whether that is Smogon, TCG, or draft format content. I guess VGC is in there, well, should be in there as well, but unfortunately don't quite have that yet. And as for the question of the day, so I was looking at this deck and thinking, what type of question of the day could I do? And I realized and I was looking at it and I was like, okay, Kiawe is one of the unique cards in this deck, apart from, obviously the Pokemon that differ between decks. But Kiawe is one of those cards that is specific for a single type, and although you can attach it to non-fire Pokemon, it only attaches fire energy. And it got me thinking, what types would Kiawe just make absolutely broken? So my question of the day is, what type of Pokemon, if given a Kiawe-like supporter, would become broken or the most powerful if you don't think any types would become broken? In my opinion, I think that would probably be... it'd either be fighting or metal, in my opinion, just because if you're able to get a Buzzwole powered up immediately and start going for like Absorption GX, Knuckle Impact, and then just be able to attach in the background while having a free just setup on Buzzwole would be very, very strong. And while there is counterplay with things like Mewtwo and stuff like that, I just think that being able to attach to a Buzzwole on the bench and then Kiawe onto a different Buzzwole and just basically have those two things active, and by the time you use up your Absorption GX and your Knuckle Impact, you should have a Buzzwole powered up on the bench to where now you have two Buzzwoles attacking. I think that fighting type for that reason, and then metal just because if you're able to like Kiawe onto like a Duskmane or something like that turn 1, well then you have a turn 2 220 attack Meteor Tempest, which is absolutely incredible and is very, very tough to deal with. So I just think that metal and fighting would be the most powerful or most broken if given a Kiawe-like supporter, but I think that fighting would probably be the most broken. If you guys disagree with me or think that there is another type that I overlooked, please let me know in the comment section down below, or if you agree with me, please let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. But anyway, on to the deck. Like I said, this is an Aurabomb idea deck centered around Ho-Oh and Garbodor, and at the time of this video, I am actually just returning from Italy. The time that I'm recording this anyway. I think that I actually returned last week, but I wanted to pre-record all those videos just in case like something went weird with like the flights or transportation or something like that, to where I would still have videos even if I wasn't at home during the scheduled time. And so this is the first video that I'm making back from Italy, and I do have to say it is absolutely gorgeous, but that is a topic for probably just like a TCG and chill session in the future. But yeah, this is centered around Ho-Oh and Garbodor, and really just the whole strategy of this deck is to get a Ho-Oh powered up, repeatedly Phoenix Burn, and then shut off our opponent's abilities with Garbodor. So it's a very, very straightforward idea that really ends up working out quite nicely and quite well, because like I was talking about with the Buzzwole, you Kiawe onto a Ho-Oh while attaching an energy to another Ho-Oh in the background. Then you're able to Sacred Fire or Phoenix Burn. You have things like Guzma in order to switch out. You have ways to get around the whole Phoenix Burn drawback where you can't use Phoenix Burn on your next turn, and that's really just what this whole deck is centered around, is just getting a Ho-Oh up immediately and then hitting insanely hard over and over again, to where our opponent just won't be able to deal with it and won't be able to take multiple Phoenix Burns, as we're hopefully knocking out their like basic GXs and able to prevent them from setting up in any meaningful way. That's really just the whole thing behind the deck. Just Kiawe into a Ho-Oh turn 1, try to get multiple Ho-Ohs up. If a Ho-Oh gets knocked out, you have the GX attack from Turtonator in order to refill your Pokemon and refill the energy on the field. And also Turtonator can attack in its own right with Shell Trap and Bright Flame. So really it's just a, alright, you got fire types, shutting off abilities, let's do this. And just very, very straightforward. One of the more straightforward decks that I've actually been using recently. But anyway, I'm just going to talk about the numbers of Mons and why we're using them. 4 Ho-Oh absolute max number, just to maximize the chance that we have a Ho-Oh on the field and are able to Kiawe onto it turn 1. I mean, Ho-Oh, like I said, is what this deck is centered around, and we want to have Ho-Oh out immediately. That is absolutely imperative for this deck to function as well as it potentially can. So even though I normally say that we only run 3 GXs because once your opponent knocks out 3 GXs, you lose the game, in this case, Ho-Oh is just so important to have turn 1 that we just want to run the max number of them. We have 2 Turtonator because, like I said, Turtonator can attack as well, and then also Nitro Tank is a way to refill up energy in the mid to late game if you need it. 2 Tapu Lele because even though we don't need to Lele into Bridget into this deck, Lele is still very, very strong for grabbing the type of supporter that we want in a given instance. Although once you have a Garbodor setup, it is worth noting that you can't use Lele, or you should not use Lele. But actually, one thing that I did mention when I talked about Kiawe earlier is that Kiawe grabs fire energy, but it doesn't have to attach to a fire type Pokemon. So in an instance where you just can't where you really just can't attach to Ho-Oh or Turtonator, but you want to do the Kiawe play, Tapu Lele is actually a pretty solid target for Kiawe, as it does more damage based on the amount of energy it has. I mean, granted, the whole idea behind Lele is to have a Ho-Oh out, be able to Lele into Kiawe to be able to get that turn 1 for fire energy, but you have 3 viable targets of Kiawe right there, and so that is just very strong and makes this deck pretty solid. And then 2/2 of Trubbish and Garbodor just to try to shut down abilities as quickly and efficiently as possible while also not clogging up the rest of the deck. We have 1 Field Blower just to get rid of things like, just to get rid of stadiums, get rid of choice bands that could be annoying for our Ho-Oh, particularly the stadiums, because as you can see, we don't have any counter stadiums, and so being able to Field Blower away a Parallel City to continue our setup and then let them Parallel City us later when we actually have a bench of what we want would be much preferable for this deck. So that's why 1 Field Blower is necessary. Running a 3-3-4 line of Mysterious Treasure, Nest Ball, and Ultra Ball, just because we don't have Bridget. Like I said, you want a Kiawe turn 1 instead of Bridget, like a lot of decks like to do in this current meta. And so just being able to have so many other ways of searching out Mons is very, very strong and is necessary for this deck in order to get that turn 1 Kiawe onto a Ho-Oh. I mean, I cannot emphasize enough how important that is to this deck to get that turn 1 Kiawe onto a Ho-Oh, because if you don't get that, then you're set back a turn because Kiawe does end the turn. So really just having a bunch of search cards to maximize the chances of getting a Ho-Oh out, getting a Lele, and getting a Kiawe is absolutely important. Then we're running a ton of basics in the deck anyway, so Nest Ball is not that bad. Just getting out Ho-Ohs, Trubbishes, Turtonators, those type of things, and Mysterious Treasure obviously for the Garbodor line, and then also for Lele if we need it. 1 Rescue Stretcher and 1 Super Rod as the methods of recursion, because even though we do have Turtonator to accelerate energy from the discard pile, we would still like to be able to put those back into the deck if we needed to. And then I already talked about the Ultra Ball. As to the supporters, you got the 4-3-3 of Cynthia and Sycamore, just kind of a standard line. You have 4 Guzma, a higher count of Guzma than I normally run, just because we are so reliant on the Phoenix Burn reset from Ho-Oh, just being able to get a Phoenix Burn, but then constantly reset this Pokemon can't attack next turn, or this Pokemon can't attack, or this Pokemon can't use Phoenix Burn. This Pokemon can't use Phoenix Burn. So I mean, it's not the end of the world because you're still able to Sacred Fire. But at the same time, we would like to be able to Phoenix Burn back to back to back, and Guzma is our way of doing that, so that's why we're running 4 of those, and then 2 Kiawe, because Kiawe into Ho-Oh is how you start, and really Kiawe late game is not that strong. In fact, if you're having to Kiawe late game, it's probably not the best situation. And then as for the tools, you have 2 Choice Band and 2 Fighting Fury Belt, just for whatever matchup you want the extra damage for, the extra longevity, and then 4 Float Stone, just because Float Stone is so integral, because even if you don't have a Garbotoxin set up, you still want to be able to free treat due to the Guzma in order to reset Phoenix Burns. That's why we have 4 of those, and then 11 Fire Energy, just to have a bunch of Fire Energy. So yeah, talked for way too long. Let's go ahead and see this deck in action. Alrighty, we have found one against Dunsparce is cool, and yes, Dunsparce is cool, but it would be a lot cooler if it didn't, you know, be awful. So we unfortunately do lose the coin flip, which quite frankly isn't the biggest deal in the world. I mean, I would like to be able to only give my opponent 1 turn before I get a Garbotoxin up, but in some cases, well, I mean, I guess we're gonna be getting a Garbotoxin up relatively quickly, as I do have 2 Trubbish, and so honestly, I have no idea what my opponent's running. Actually, we see, I mean, we saw the fighting, and we see the Passimian. What does this one do? Your Passimian's decks do 30... Okay, so this is a Passimian Mew deck. That makes sense, and it's probably running Octillery as well. We see the Diancie Prism Star come down, so that's another little bit of damage that he can do, and... Okay. So, let's... how do I want to do this? I think... Let's go ahead and just Cynthia, just kind of give up. I mean, there's no way I was going to get a first turn Kiawe anyway. And then let's Turtonator, or let's Nest Ball for a Ho-Oh. I have a Turtonator in my hand, that's what I was trying to say. And then, do I want to Nest Ball for another one? I think actually let's go ahead and do that. Get 2 Ho-Oh down, and a Turtonator maybe I can get, if he ends me into something that allows me to get a Kiawe, then I will be in a fantastic position actually. But otherwise, I'm just going to kind of rely on... Just going to hopefully rely on my opponent not getting too much started, because they really didn't have a spectacular first turn, and they don't even have anything at all. So that's actually great for me. What I'm going to do, put another energy onto Ho-Oh, and then N. Gives my opponent a new hand, but at least it gets me some more stuff to work with. And what I can do is actually get a Garbodor up this turn. I already have 2 energy on a Ho-Oh, so I might as well just go ahead. And okay, there are 2 Kiawe. There's 5 energy in the deck, so that means there's a couple prized. Good to know. But at the very least, I mean, I am able to shut off my opponent's abilities so that it's harder for him to knock stuff out. And then let's just retreat into the Trubbish. That way, I mean, I guess Field Blower would get rid of both of them anyway, so it really doesn't do a whole lot. Just keeps my Garbodor out of the active, keeps it from being knocked out in 1 hit. And hopefully... Okay, if I can top deck into a Kiawe next turn, I'll actually be in a pretty amazing spot. Because then I'll have a Ho-Oh with 4 energy, I'll have a Ho-Oh with 3 energy, and I'll be able to just start... Okay, my opponent ends me, so this is even better. Increases my chances of having a Kiawe in my hand, or at least... Well, I guess I can't even Lele for a Kiawe now, but there we go. I actually just go ahead and draw into both Kiawes, which, I mean, that's fine with me. So let's energy up the Ho-Oh with 3, Fighting Fury Belt up the Ho-Oh that I'm about to attach the 4 energy onto. And yeah, there's even 1 energy left in the deck that I can just power up my other Ho-Oh completely with 4 energy. And yeah, we are good to go now. I have Sycamore for next turn. I also have Cynthia's if I want to, but probably going to Sycamore. My opponent's abilities are completely shut off. I will be able to just start attacking with Ho-Oh, and yeah, my opponent does go ahead and concede. That makes sense. I mean, he really didn't have much going on. I had abilities shut off, so his Passimians weren't going to be able to do a whole lot. Neither was Mew. The Diancie was just kind of dead weight at that point. The Sudowoodo could have been a problem, but he also hadn't had energy attachments at all, so... Yeah, pretty solid first game. Didn't get off an attack, but we do take the W, so I'm good with that. But let's try to find another one with this deck. Alrighty, we have found another one against Papa Lazaro? I don't even know. With what looks like a Ultra Necrozma and Malamar deck. Let's see if we can win the coin flip, which we do. That is fantastic, because as soon as we can get Garbodor up, we have a very good chance at winning. We just have to also get rid of the Field Blowers, and, well, I mean, it would also be kind of nice to start with a start with a Pokemon, but, you know, that doesn't always necessarily happen. Sometimes you just got to go ahead and go with the mulligans. But, yeah, if I can get like a Ho-Oh out and a Trubbish, and then also have access to a Kiawe, that would actually be the perfect first turn, because, I mean, then I would be able to evolve into a Garbodor ASAP, but also be able to take advantage of not being able to attack and just go ahead and end my turn by attaching 4 fire energies, which would be absolutely amazing for me. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and put the cards back, see if we can get a little bit better of a start. And we do get... How many times did I mulligan? Good lord. 3 mulligans, so going to give my opponent a nice 3 cards. But unfortunately... See, how can I do this? So I get some good stuff. Like, I really do get some good stuff. Turtonator was a Ho-Oh, that'd be even better. But what I can do is, yeah, go ahead and take those 3 cards. Hopefully they help you, because you're not going to be getting any items for the rest of the game if I have something to say about it. And okay, so I can pull off a first turn Kiawe onto the Turtonator. The question is, do I want to do that? I think I might actually. So it's Mysterious Treasure. First things first, let's get that Trubbish. Second I shut down abilities is really just one step closer to winning the game. And then let's Mysterious Treasure, get rid of the Ultra Ball. I'm just basically taking advantage of the fact, okay, so I don't have a supporter this turn. Let's energy up the Turtonator. And then, unfortunately, I don't think I can afford to Kiawe this turn. I mean, I can, and one-shot the Ultra Necrozma, but then I wouldn't have a supporter for next turn. I'd be in top deck mode. My opponent would have those 3 extra cards. And this way, I'm just forcing him to be like, okay, you're not getting to use those 3 extra cards. I'm putting you back down to 6. And technically, my opponent is still getting an extra card. But at least this way, I have something else going to where, worst case scenario, I just Shell Trap. Like, Shell Trap is not the end of the world. It does 50 damage with the Choice Band that I have. It keeps my opponent... Well, I mean, if my opponent wants to attack, then they're going to be hitting themselves for a very good chunk of damage, which would potentially allow them to KO themselves coming into my turn, which would be beautiful. And yes, this is perfect. I force out a Field Blower. I force out a Field Blower immediately. Like, that Field Blower being gone is huge because, in all likelihood, he only runs 2 Field Blowers. So, with half of them gone, they only have 1 for the rest of the game. And I have the Float Stone readily available in my hand. So, I'm going to be able to out-Float Stone his Field Blower. And the fact that he wasted it and didn't even, like, really didn't even get a turn of abilities out of it, because, I mean, he had abilities regardless. And, I mean, that being said, I can't disagree with that play, because, I mean, you Field Blower when you have the chance, and if you're obviously, or if your odds are going to ditch your hand, then Field Blowing while you have it just, I mean, it makes sense. Like, that's a good play. But, okay, so I get some stuff, so I'm going to actually double Float Stone, Lele and Trubbish, see if I can bait out the last one. And then energy up the Turtonator, play down another Ho-Oh, and then Cynthia for my new hand. And there we go. So we get a Fighting Fury Belt for the Turtonator, and now abilities are gone. My opponent cannot invade, my opponent cannot Psychic Recharge. If he does happen to have another Field Blower, usually they only run 2 at the most. And if he plays his second Field Blower, I do have the Float Stone in my hand to be able to just re-shut off abilities and go from there. And then, yeah, Sycamore comes out. Hopefully not a second Field Blower, but he will be able to... Okay, what am I going to get rid of? Just get rid of the Lele. I mean, the Lele does nothing for me now. It's done everything it needs to. And if my opponent attacks... Yeah, if my opponent attacks into the Turtonator... He's going to be taking a big old chunk of damage in return. And then I can also Bright Flame for the knockout, because my opponent actually doesn't have... Yeah, my opponent has nothing else set up. I mean, it is literally all in on this Ultra Necrozma, and Photon Geyser is going to do 130 damage, which for 2 energy is absurd. But doesn't have abilities. Is about to... Yeah, Bright Flame's... Well, what I can actually do, yeah, let's attach the energy, and then Cynthia away my hand. I don't want to get rid of that last Float Stone. That is going to be the difference in me potentially winning the game. Then I'm going to Bright Flame, because my opponent is in top deck mode, has absolutely no other attackers set up, and then what I can also do is just Nitro Tank at the very least this upcoming turn to potentially get potentially get my Ho-Ohs charged up, or I can just Shell Trap again if that's what I choose to do. But I'm thinking that I'll probably end up Nitro Tanking because that would make the most sense for this scenario. If I'd have to check to see how many fire I had in the discard pile, but it really doesn't matter as my opponent does concede the game. Yeah, they were in top deck mode. They had no abilities, like a Lele would have been useless. They already used their Field Blower, so they probably only had one left, and that might have even been prized. So able to take a game against one of the top decks in the meta. It was a very good game, just shows the power of Garbodor. Haven't even gotten to attack with Ho-Oh yet, so really hoping that I'm able to do that in this upcoming game, or this next game, as obviously I'm not ending it there. We're only at 20 minutes. So yeah, let's go ahead and find another one with this deck. Alrighty, we have found another one against a Zexy with what looks like, a Zoroark and Water deck. So, it could be any number of things. I'm thinking that it might be Zoroark and Greninja, as that's the most recent iteration of Water and Zoroark. And unfortunately, I start off with my Water-weak Turtonator. I was not too worried about it, considering that Ho-Oh is not weak to water. It's actually weak to lightning, which is very convenient in this case. But no, it's actually not. It's Glaceon. Yeah, that's what it was. Sorry if you could hear me snap. But it's a Turtonator Glaceon. Zoroark Glaceon deck. And so what I think I'm going to do, actually, let's not worry so much about the Trubbish. Let's make sure my Kiawes are in the deck. Yes, they are. And 10 energy as well. Good to know. Oh, whoops, I played the energy onto Ho-Oh. Should not have done that. Should have played the energy onto my Turtonator. But, hey, you always screw up once in a while. For me, it's like once every other turn. But that's beside the point. Maybe I can justify that by saying, well, I'm thinking that I wanted to still be able to potentially attack after I manually retreat, which is not an excuse. I just screwed up right there. But at the very least, this means if Ho-Oh does go down, then I'll be able to Nitro Tank for a full 5 energy, which is nice to say the least. I held on to the Float Stones just in case my opponent had the Field Blower, because while I would like to waste those early on, I'd prefer to force him to waste them on the Trubbishes or the Garbodors, as those are the more immediate threats, and I really would like to shut down... Glaceon's ability isn't super relevant, but I would like to shut down Zoroark. Potentially Octillery, we don't know if they do. Zoroark Octillery doesn't make the most sense in the world, but at the same time, you can't deny that Zoroark and Octillery are two of the strongest. Actually, I think they're the only two straight-up Pokemon draws in the game right now. And so, having both could just be like, well, I get even more cards. But no. We do see him grab 2 Zoroarks or Zoruas and an Eevee. If you could just grab 2 Zoroarks straight up off of Bridget, that would be broken. But hey, Bridget was not designed for a meta with GXs. It was designed for a meta with EXs, and so it is a card that you can exploit the absolute crap out of, and you better believe that I do that as well. So my opponent does just pass the turn right there. That is fine. Let's energy up the Turtonator. Actually, let's energy up the Lele. Because that'll be able to... No, Turtonator. I think Turtonator's better. What I was thinking is that I'm able to 2-hit KO Glaceon with a Lele with just a 2 energy on it when it's fully powered up. And unfortunately, I don't get a Choice Band. If I got a Choice Band right there, I would be able to one-shot the Glaceon, but that's not the case in this situation. So I am just going to play down the Trubbish, retreat into my Ho-Oh. I'm not going to play my Float Stone just yet, as I want to try to bait out the Field Blower. If he has Field Blower and he sees the Float Stone on the Turtonator, my thought is he will wait a turn. He will wait a turn in order... Or he'll go ahead and use it, not wait. Sorry. I'm waiting a turn. He will not wait a turn. If he has the Field Blower, I feel like he will go ahead and play it. He gets the Choice Band and a DCE. That's annoying, but not the end of the world. I really would have liked to have that Choice Band on me so that I could one-shot the Glaceon and not allow it to attack. Because due to this, he's going to be able to get a Zoroark, and if he gets a Zoroark and a DCE on it, it's going to be able to revenge kill me with a Riotous Beating, which it would not have been able to do had Glaceon knocked me out, and then I could have tried to play games around like Guzma, Float Stone, that type of thing, in order to take more knockouts repeatedly, Phoenix Burn, that sort of situation. Now, he's going to go ahead and grab a Cynthia. This Ho-Oh, I'm going to knock out this Glaceon this coming turn. That's just kind of a foregone conclusion. But it's a matter of, is this Ho-Oh going to go down? If so, I want to get another Ho-Oh up ASAP so that I have a potential Nitro Tank GX target, which will be, that's definitely going to be my GX attack this game. Like, this Ho-Oh has 5 energy on it. As soon as it goes down, I'm putting that 5 energy back on the board in one way, shape, or form. Zoroark is going to go ahead and trade. I'm really, really hoping my opponent gets a Field Blower, because if he goes ahead and Field Blowers the Float Stone off the Turtonator, that's a Field Blower gone. Don't necessarily think their deck has room for 2 Field Blowers, which it definitely could. Yes, we do see the Field Blower, and that is exactly why I waited to play my second Float Stone onto the Trubbish, because he only gets a single Float Stone out of that, and that's honestly not something I was worried about. I didn't care if Turtonator's Float Stone got Field Blowered. I would have cared had Trubbish's Float Stone gotten Field Blowered away. But because I was patient, kept it in my hand, now I'm going to be able to play it back down where it actually really means something, and yeah, that's going to be annoying. But on the bright side, I do get a Nest Ball, which will allow me to get another Ho-Oh. I do not want to get another Turtonator, but it allows me to have a target for a Nitro Tank GX in the coming turns, and I even draw just straight into Garbodors, which allows me to shut off Zoroark, allows me to shut off Lele, even though it's really not a big deal. Let's just go ahead and Mysterious Treasure. I mean, I really don't have use for it. Yeah, I'm actually going to even thin my deck out a little bit more in case of N, as I am about to take 2 prizes. Let's just go ahead and see what else is in the deck. But for now, let's go ahead and Phoenix Burn, knock out the Glaceon, and take our first 2 prizes of the game. My opponent needs DCE. Actually, yeah, DCE on Zoroark or Lele is just going to be a one-hit KO, so not much I can do about that. But he is promoting Lele. That's smart-ish, I want to say. Lele does go down in one hit to a Phoenix Burn, so my opponent must be very, very confident that they're going to be able to knock me out. And I'm actually completely okay with them attacking with Lele instead of Zoroark, because Zoroark takes 2 hits to knock out, potentially if I don't have a Choice Band, which I might not be able to because I do like having Fighting Fury Belt on my Ho-Ohs for a little bit more longevity. I'll probably have a Fighting Fury Belt, like I said, instead of a Choice Band, so him attacking with Lele is actually pretty ideal for me, because that's easy knockouts, easy 2 prizes, and I do not want to try to play an odd prize game with Zeroos. He is going to go ahead and Kukui. I mean, that's going to yeah, definitely be more than enough to knock me out. I mean, I have 70 HP, and you're already hitting for 160 damage. I mean, play a Choice Band down. Why not go for 190? Just go for it all. Just completely demolish me, but... but no, my opponent does just go ahead and knock out my Ho-Oh. That's fine with me, and yeah, I'm going to promote the Garbodor, not the Turtonator. Turtonator's probably still coming up regardless. However, in this situation, I would really just prefer to have Garbodor, as it does have the free retreat. And now, let's go ahead and Cynthia. See if I can get another energy, something like that. Really would have liked to have ended my opponent, but because of this situation, unfortunately, I'm not able to, and yeah, I'm going to be able to Nitro Tank. 5 energy. Let's actually just attach to the Turtonator, and so I can Shell Trap later or be 1 energy away from Bright Flaming. And let's get all 5 of these energy. Put 4 on the Ho-Oh for sure. And then 1 onto my own Tapu Lele, so that it's just 1 energy away from being able to attack, 2-hit KO a Glaceon, or even just put a Glaceon in range of a Phoenix Burn, or, well, not just Glaceon, Zoroark as well, from my Ho-Oh GX. And now I'm in a phenomenal position. Really, whatever my opponent wants to do, I should be able to respond. If he wants to just hit my Turtonator for some good damage, what's he going to grab with the... So, probably going to grab So they wouldn't play double. They wouldn't play single puzzle with a hand that big. I mean, you would just N or something to that effect. You wouldn't single puzzle. So they definitely have the double puzzle. I'm wondering what they're getting back. Really not sure, actually. Because I have plenty of stuff. Like, I mean, I have a Ho-Oh ready to attack and ready to just obliterate stuff. I have a Turtonator that's 1 energy away from being able to Bright Flame. And my opponent does grab the Field Blower and the Kukui. So they're able to get a second Field Blower if they only run one. So very good play by my opponent, able to reactivate their trade. But unfortunately for them, I do have the Float Stone in my hand that will be able to shut off abilities once again this coming turn. And I'm going to trade. So they have the Kukui. What are they going to do? I'm actually really interested to see what my opponent's going to try to pull off this turn. Because there's no way... So they can't use Kukui and Guzma in the same turn. So if he Kukuis for more damage, my Ho-Oh is safe. But we do see a second DCE. Is he just going to attack the Turtonator? Because if he does, that's great for me. As all I have to do is just retreat. And we see the Float Stone onto his other Lele on the bench. And then there's the Guzma. Okay, so my opponent's going to target down my Ho-Oh, but right now he's only doing 160 damage. Yeah, he's only doing 160. He needs a Choice Band in order to one-shot me. Does he think he has enough? Because, I mean, I have 190 HP. Like, it's very clear. Like, Ho-Oh is bulky as all heck. Wow, bulky as all heck. Just got that YouTube filter in action right there. But he just goes for energy drive and does 160. I would have been able to knock out the Lele this next turn. So yeah, that was a weird game. That was, I mean, it was a good game, but that was a very weird turn to just attack and scoop, because Ho-Oh would have been able to just knock out the Lele. I would have gone down to 2 prizes, and ooh, no viruses on my PC. Good to know. But yeah, Ho-Oh would have just been able to take down the Lele. Didn't have enough. That last turn just confused me. I didn't know why they didn't try to set up a Zoroark or a Glaceon. But either way, we take those. I'm going to end the video there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.